Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mel.
And welcome to Sofa Reviews. Today we're watching The Derby Stallion, a film so gay I've had to recruit a lesbian to even things out.
Right, so from the offset we're greeted by homoerotic undertones.
She never rode again? Ever?
Not in the Derby.
So we meet Houston and the young boy he's grooming, Zac Efron. I mean Patrick.
It's now explained to us that Patrick is meant to be playing baseball.
But screw that, I've got an alcoholic old man to hang out with.
And then we get to see our bad guys leading their unstoppable crime wave.
Thankfully, it cuts away from that devastation to show us how Patrick wishes people were more like horses.
I know horses like me. Huh, boy.
So either easily pleased by sugar lumps or he wishes his boyfriend had a bigger dick.
Back with a rampant crime spree, and they're now destroying vegetables.
They also decide while they're at it they're going to steal the money, somehow getting past that incredible security.
One of the lackeys now realises that the other guys are assholes.
Look, if Old Man Jones doesn't want people taking his money, he ought to keep it locked up.
Who's he?
He's just a drunk. You knew, so you don't know. He's nothing. He gets what he deserves.
I heard he has nice horses.
Glue Factory wouldn't be interested in his broken down nags.
I also heard that he was a champion trainer and rider when he was younger.
Yeah, I'm new here. That's why I've heard the backstory of everybody.
And here comes our hero Patrick to save the day.
You threatening me? No. Telling you.
Inspiring.
He sneaks home only to get spotted and forced to have a nice dinner with his family.
Okay, this is getting painful already. It's just that generic family dynamic where Zac Efron plays that hard-done-by teenager. What a shame.
Sorry I missed practice.
But then his dad asks where he's been, the control freak.
So rather than telling his dad that he doesn't want to play baseball anymore, he goes off to sulk in his room.
While he's in his room, his bitch of a mother comes along and tries to make out it's perfectly reasonable for her to be worried about her son spending time with an alcoholic.
The next day we get to see him play baseball, until a prostitute shows up.
Which does at least lead to the best bit in the movie.
It turns out that this prostitute is pretty intelligent and manages to resist the charms of the local douchebag.
My family owns Adams Development. Maybe you've heard of us.
Should I have?
Everybody in the county has. I'm the #1 steeplechase racer in the state.
Is that horses?
Yeah.
How strange. Usually saying my dad's rich and I ride horses is enough to spread anyone's legs.
Patrick then has a conversation with his dad where he almost plucks up the balls to tell him that he doesn't want to play baseball.
I just want you to be a success.
No.
Yeah, this selfish prick of a father wants his son to be a success. Why can't you just drink and ignore him like a good parent?
So Patrick now goes back to the old man to explain to him how his parents don't understand him.
Seriously, kid, I'm trying to drink myself to death here.
My parents don't want me coming over here anymore.
Fuck off!
Instead, we get to see the old guy's backstory.
Interracial sex being the core of the problem. What insightful social commentary.
She's so determined that they can live together happily ever after, she becomes really annoying and pushy about it.
You can't change facts.
You can't stop me! I'm going to tell my father now.
It's now explained that there's an incident whereby she became narcoleptic. Clearly they weren't meant to be together.
Well, it got her to shut up at least.
Suddenly remembering that they're 30 minutes into the film and haven't mentioned the derby at all, Houston mentions it to Patrick.
You know, have you ever trained somebody to ride in a steeplechase?
I don't train people, I groom them.
Patrick finally grows a pair and explains to his dad that he doesn't want to play baseball.
As expected, his dad flips out and goes on a killing spree, taking out 75 people before the police finally... No, wait. He does the other one. He respects his son's wishes.
So Patrick then goes to meet Houston, who then buys him a horse.
And so we meet the only other black guy in the film.
They then get approached by the bad guy, wearing the most intimidating trousers ever.
You aren't gonna win diddly with that horse. What's going on?
It's explained that Houston bought the horse for $5,000, despite no obvious source of income.
Although that plot hole is solved when we then see him whittling a rudimentary sex aid.
How do you whittle a hypnol?
So, if there's anyone who ever wanted to see Zac Efron shoveling horse shit, That's a pretty specific request.
It seems that watching a young boy in horse shit is enough to put you off your alcohol, even if it does look like he's just pouring it into his groin.
And then we get another tedious scene between Patrick and the bad guy.
Headbutt him, headbutt him. Either one of you, I don't really care. I just want to see one of you suffer.
Before it can all erupt in a whirlwind of violence, the prostitute shows up again. And how did she get that car? Patrick's meant to be 15.
So the bad guys run off as she explains the sheriff is looking for them, leaving her to try out her new chatterblind on Patrick.
Catch any more balls with your head?
After some awkward dialogue between them both, we now see Patrick explaining how Houston's bought him a horse.
How much?
$5,000?
Dollars?
No hand jobs. Had to save up for a wrist support.
Blah blah, I'm a prostitute.
Blah blah, I like horses.
Well, it's okay, I love you now.
Teenage colloquialism.
Can we do this for the rest of the film?
No, but we can skip ahead a bit as absolutely nothing happens.
Is he yours, Patrick?
Sure is.
He's pretty, huh, Mama?
He's beautiful. He's cool. He's good.
He's expensive.
Calvin Klein.
And finally, Houston explains why the film has had a weird vibe throughout.
It's been a lot of years since I've seen that sort of bond between a man and an animal.
Eventually we get to see Patrick riding the horse, but he gets edited off instead.
While Patrick is learning to ride, we get to see the bad guys come up with the totally original idea of trashing Houston's vegetable stand.
Of course, talking to that guy is so annoying it gives Houston a heart attack.
They call an ambulance, and it turns out Houston could get better if he went to hospital. So he doesn't.
Oh god, just get on with the race already. I mean, they take Houston home.
Somebody gotta knock Randy's lights out.
And would that make that somebody any better than him?
Yes. Yes, it would.
Later on, Patrick has to do a time trial to enter the Derby, but instead he just gets edited off the horse again.
He barely qualifies and so is allowed to enter the Derby, which somehow is enough to impress his dad.
So what do you think?
I think baseball's overrated.
Yeah, because you would just abandon a passion of a lifetime just like that.
Houston goes off to sleep while we see his family reading about the fact that he's in the Derby.
Little girls, Shining reference. This film is killing me.
And it says here that the winner will get a college scholarship. Did you know about that?
No, I didn't.
Looks like you might wind up like your old man after all.
Yeah, an injury will ruin your career and you'll be a bitter has-been with a family you hate.
And just to drag out the film a bit more, Houston dies, but if you look closely, you can still see him breathing.
What are you looking at me for? I'm just a horse.
It was all along.
That's the way it is. We go out the way we come in.
Through the vagina?
We bring nothing into this life. We take nothing out of it, as it should be.
Which is a nice way of saying that life is ultimately futile.
After the funeral, Patrick realises without an old black alcoholic to sodomise him that racing has just lost its appeal.
Without him, it's completely different.
We see people telling Patrick he shouldn't quit, and then the prostitute goes into Houston's house.
I mean, why are you crying so much? You knew him for 2 months at most.
Luckily, she finds Houston's creepy buck of stalking Patrick, and a gift with a note in case of death.
So now Patrick is going to race in the Derby, and I'm glad we had that problem because it took a whole 5 minutes to resolve.
And just to drag the film out even more, their van is sabotaged.
The dad shows up and fixes the problem. Just finish the film already.
So they race off in the car. Can they get there in time to compete?
Yes, of course they do. I'm sorry, but I've got nothing left.
He's falling back. It's okay, it's just part of the strategy. I can't watch.
Or act.
They get to the race, and it's so dull that I would rather watch a barrel of dicks.
So does Patrick have what it takes to win the race of his life? Yes.
Right, well, in conclusion...
The film is really annoying with lots of awkward, stilted dialogue.
The black guy is a bit rapey.
I think it was about 40 minutes in when we were first watching and we forgot the name of Zac Efron's character.
Houston is essentially Bill Cosby.
Which is weird because in the flashbacks he loses his accent, therefore presumably alcohol turns you into a stereotype.
We went through this whole thing when we were joking about the film that it would either make you fat or you'd be like anorexic because you'd eat loads and then just have to just sort of purge yourself.
Also, it's never really explained why the bad guy hates Patrick so much, and perhaps if he hadn't spent all his time dicking about following Patrick and actually trained instead, he'd have won.
This seems like the kind of film that would give you a tumour. I do feel the need to point out, and I pointed this out at the time, that somewhere this is someone's favourite film.